Interface Video, in cooperation with Fairfield Federal, presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fair Hope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Frankie Smith Funeral Home, Fairfield County Adam H., Dagger Law, and the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities.
Hello friends, and welcome to Fairfield Today. I'm Paul Johnson, your host. Thank you for joining us, and we're telecasting today from the lobby downtown of Fairfield Federal, and we welcome you to the show today. And our show today will highlight a couple organizations that do so much to help the community. The second half of the show will have Captain Bryan DeMichael on, the Salvation Army. Of course, they're just getting ready for their big time of the year. Their bell ringing campaign is just about to kick off, so we'll talk to Bryan about that and all the things that go on this time of the year. Pretty hectic time for the Salvation Army. And our first segment today is along those same lines, an organization that has done so many great things in the community, and I think all of us know when it's the second Saturday in December. We may not know that, but when you're driving around, you'll see all these fellas in red jumpsuits, and they're all hawking papers and taking donations. Well, of course, we're talking about the Charity Newsies, and we're getting to them, as it's the same with the Salvation Army, with the Charity Newsies. This is their big time of the year. They do other events in the year, coats around Christmas, around school time. We'll talk about some of that, but this is when it really rubber meets the road for the Charity Newsies, and I've got a couple fellas here with me to talk about that today. John Little on my far right. John is the president of the Charity Newsies, and then Colt Huffer, beside me, is the auction chairman. And so, fellas, first of all, welcome. Appreciate you're getting all dressed up to come down here. I guess this on the second Saturday, this is what we'll see, huh?
Yeah, you'll see us in these loud jumpsuits.
I hope they're warm. I guess that's the key.
They are. It's getting a little warm in here right now.
How many men and women are in the Charity Newsies? We'll start with you, John.
Okay, right now we have around 125 members.
So on that second Saturday, I don't know, a month away yet or a couple weeks away, you'll be out there, and all around Lancaster and Fairfield County, you're at restaurants, you're at stores, you're at intersections down here. You drive by lots of Pickerington, everywhere,
Pickerington,
all around Fairfield County.
Yeah, yep. we're everywhere in the county. Yeah.
And what are the hours on that?
We usually start around 8 o'clock until lunchtime. Okay. 12, 1 o'clock.
Till you run out of papers, maybe?
That's the goal.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And Colt, we always, I know that this started, I forget what, 1936 or something, but I remember Kenny Kerr, who used to be the owner of the Eagle Gazette down here, and for years they always printed the papers, and I guess in a sense they still do, but change in ownership, but you still get it done around here.
Absolutely, yes, and they print around 14,000 papers annually for us.
Wow, 14,000. And so you know, you've got the paper drive going, and that's kind of the first event in coming up here. And you've always had, and I've attended it for several years, it's always a great time. Bob Rozier, Mike LeMay, I just know some of the auctioneers down there, Lloyd Helber, and so many people have been down there that are such big hitters. Terry McGee, when he was at Westerman's, always was such a big hitter down there. But things are changing this year for the auction.
Yeah, absolutely. Changing for us just as they are as the community as a whole. Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, we've decided this year for the safety of the community to not have the event.
Sure.
A lot of folks are up in years, and of course, the demographic is leaning harder towards that group than others. So we just felt like it was a big concern, and decided to step back this year. So I'm looking for later this year to possibly have an online auction.
Okay.
And
that's the way lots of places have gone now, just because social distancing. I know when I've gone to the banquet down there, you're not going to social distance in that group. I mean, that place is packed to the gills with items and people. You're not going to do it. So I guess online, if there is a way, that would be the way.
Right, and we had started to prepare for the live auction. So a lot of those items that we were going to have in the live auction now will just shift to the online. But also, we could take in mail-in donations to 1047 Sugar Grove Road here in Lancaster, and we're looking for a little extra help from the community this year because everything is so different. This is the auction's our marquee event where we really make a lot of money. I mean, we make money on the paper drive and other places too, but the bulk of our annual budget comes from the auction.
Yeah, that's always a heck of an event down there. Like I say, I've gone to it many times down there, and it's always such a fun event, such a nice evening down there, nice dinner they put on, and a wonderful auction is held down there. And John, I wanted to bring up something. It's kind of a somber thing to talk about amidst all this good things that we've been discussing, but you lost 4 members this year, and I think we want to mention those, but I especially wanted to mention our friend on this show, and I think this is the first Salvation Army show, and I do it, or not Salvation Army, first Charity Newsies show I do every year. I haven't had Fred Strasser on. Fred passed away recently, and he was always, he loved the Charity Newsies. This was such a big event for him, and he was always here with Bill Ronimus, or he'd bring other people with him to talk, and so these fellows have stepped in this year, but you've also lost some other members.
Yeah, we lost Jim Bowes, who was a longtime newsie, longtime chief investigator. We lost longtime newsies Ray Sword, longtime newsie Reggie Harris.
Yeah.
So we continue to keep their families in our prayers, as well as everyone in the community.
Well, it's a difficult time of the year when you lose so many good people well, I know Fred, for example, he's done what he's done for 100 years down there. He's always been there. Anytime you wanted the Newsies, anytime I needed any information on the Newsies, I just could call Fred, and he always had it for me. So we talked before we went on, you and I were talking, John, about this kind of, one of the events you had was right before school. Was it August around in there? You gave away a lot of coats to school children.
Yeah, we wrote, there were 188 families, over 400 kids. We wrote vouchers for back-to-school clothes.
Nice.
And this was in August. Unfortunately, it was like the auction. We couldn't do it in person. It had to be all done over the phone.
Sure.
But we did provide back-to-school clothes for over 400 children.
Now, so now we fast forward to now. We're not having the auction as we typically have it. We have it online, and we get that. So if anybody knows a family, or maybe that you are a family of somebody that could use the help of the Charity Newsies, how can they contact your organization?
Well, they can reach us, leave a message at telephone 740-687-9469, or call referral services 687-0500, and look us up on Facebook, and someone will get back with you if you reach out.
Or if they know a newsie personally, they can reach out to a newsie and go that route.
I've got John Little, who's the president of the Charity Newsies this year, Colt Huffer beside me, the head of the auction, and that's kind of the order there. You go from the auction to the big guy next year. And so you've got the paper drive coming up, and you're still planning on the online auction. Are these the big events you've got coming up as you wrap up the year?
Well, we do deliver food baskets, and that will be the Saturday before Christmas.
That's a very person-intensive time when everybody meets. The old membership turns out for that, and you pack the boxes and get it all done.
Yeah. We special thanks to Kenny Sprague for providing the warehouse.
Another name of somebody that's
this.
Always there.
We plan on packing close to 500 boxes this year, and this will all be within Fairfield County.
And also to touch on that, this will be our first year that we ever offer curbside pickup. So if the family is in need of that, a lot of times logistically we go out in the morning to deliver, and sometimes families are working or they're out for the holidays, so they can have a proxy pickup for them. And if they're interested in that, please contact 211 and we can.
So it can be done just curbside if that's the decision that's made. That's better for everybody. You guys just take it out, put it in the car, no fuss, no muss.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a crazy time, isn't it?
It is.
When I think on the show here, when I think back around, I don't know when it was, March, when things kind of came down, I remember the governor said, well, we're not going to have the Arnold. And I thought, whoa, this is big. So that is a huge event.
It's huge.
And it seemed like, wow, now everything from that point has been shut down. I mean, there's been nothing going on. We had no festival around this year. The fair was a completely different kind of fair here. And I'm sure you folks hope that back in then, well, it'll all be over by the time we get ready to meet, but here we are.
Right, and that was what kind of lagged the auction. It was all summer, It was hard to go out and drive for it.
Yeah.
Because businesses are struggling. So this is why this kind of PR is good, because we can reach out to folks that can still help, as opposed to going in and asking somebody that might be hurting at the moment. And you sometimes that isn't readily available. So it's nice to have this kind of thing where folks that can help can hear, and you don't have to go and ask directly.
Sure. And John, you talked about 400 coats went out. Is that average, would you say, for the amount of coats you give away at preschool?
It may have been a little low this year,
Okay.
just because of the funds we had available.
Okay.
But
Actually, that number is quite low. The demand with the county and all the different systems and way that kids went to school back to school this year,
Sure.
that drive is not necessarily just for coats; it's for school clothing, period. And last year we were roughly double that number. We were 800 kids. We gave away almost $100,000 in vouchers last year.
Now, is the expectation with the food boxes coming up here soon that you'll have more, about the same? Is there any way to guesstimate that?
Yeah, so 500, I think we did around 475 last year.
Okay.
It creeps up, it seems, about like a quarter every year.
Okay. So with this going on, you might think there might be even more, because we know lots of families are hurting right now. Well, Charity Newsies is one of the great organizations. Why don't you give out the number again, where if people have an idea of if they want to either help donate, or they know of a family that could use a food box coming up, how they can help, who can they call?
okay, the phone number for the Newsies is 740-687-9469.
Okay.
And give us a call, and we'll certainly help in any way we can.
And as Colt said, if you know a newsie, just get a hold of
Get a hold of
somebody.
a newsie,
Most
yeah.
everybody knows someone at a bank or a business. Somebody probably knows somebody.
Right.
And can I just say one thing? I just want to assure people that all the funds we raise do stay in the community.
It's a big thing.
Our administrative costs are taken from our dues, so every penny that we raise goes back to the community in some way.
And we'll get a shot of the paper here. We'll show that about last year's paper. That's about what it looked like. But you guys just do great work. Do you have a final comment? Did you want to say something, Cole?
No, I think you guys have basically covered it. I just wanted to, again, I know Jim and Fred are gone, but thank them so much. Those guys, the other members I didn't know quite so well, but Jim and Fred really affected my life. So.
Yeah, they were great persons, and I hate to lose anybody in a group like this. So John Little and Colt Huffer, thanks for being with us today on the great job that the Charity Newsies do. It's coming up here very soon. You'll have the paper drive, you'll have the auction online, there'll be information, social media, we'll have it out there so you can find it anywhere you want. So again, fellas, thanks very much for being with us, and best of luck and a great, successful year.
Thank you.
We'll be back in Fairfield today.
The Frankie Smith Funeral Home and Crematory in Lancaster and the Johnson Smith Funeral Home in Baltimore have a long and wonderful history of serving our community. Feel free to give us a call at 740-653-0652. Stop in and see us at either of our two locations, 405 North Columbus Street in Lancaster and 207 South Main Street in Baltimore. Respect for tradition, regard for change.
Dagger Law has been part of the Lancaster community for more than 110 years. This is where we live and work. You'll see us at festivals, sporting events, and all around town. We consider our clients as friends, and we walk alongside you through challenging times. Whether you're a growing business, a changing family, facing litigation, planning your future, or dealing with land issues, we're right here. We are local. We are trusted. We are experienced. Dagger Law.
Fairfield Medical goes the extra mile to give attention to their patients, to their guests, anybody that comes within those doors.
There's no question that the staff there are all personally invested in seeing that I got the best care possible.
The staff was so comforting. I felt like she was in the best hands.
They basically gave me a second chance at life, and I'm going to make the most of it.
Fairfield Federal. When it comes to our customers and our community, we go above and beyond to help. Our people make the difference.
We were retiring from Tucson, Arizona, and we made a retirement trip out around Ohio, having decided that's where we wanted to be. And we came across this town called Lancaster, and we fell in love with the downtown area, where the fountain is, and the memorials, and the flags, and all this stuff. And I looked around and I said, there's our bank right there.
There's something to be said about a community bank in your hometown.
Right. If you live in the community, you should do business in the community as much as possible. So it makes sense to bank with the community bank where you live.
Fairfield Federal is the bank to be at. If you live in this town, or any town actually, you want to bank at a local home bank. And the employees are happy here, they're conversant, customer service is through the roof. There's nothing more you could ask for.
Personal or business banking, whatever you need, we take it seriously because we know you do. Stop by today at any of our 3 locations and see why the difference is clear. Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan specializes in banking that revolves around you.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back to Fairfield Today. Thank you for being with us. Appreciate the fellas from the Charity Newsies being on, and again, one of the really fine organizations this time of year that do so much. And I was just thinking about, here at Fairfield Federal, and you heard in the commercial, they're doing their Quasquicentennial, 125 years. That almost coincides with the Salvation Army, who's been doing what they're doing for 130 years. And Bryan, you haven't been here for the whole 130.
No, I've actually been this is only year 7 for me here, but thankfully no 130.
Captain Bryan DeMichael is with us from the Salvation Army, and you can sort of see in front of us here we've got probably one of the most iconic logos that you'd ever want to see, the red kettle and the bells. I mean, when people see that, even if you didn't have the Salvation Army logo, that's probably as well known as about anything in the world.
Absolutely. They actually say that the Salvation Army logo is the second most identifiable logo in the world outside of Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. But when you think about the kettles, I mean, that's a part of Christmas. It's a staple of Christmas. If you look at, most Christmas movies, there's going to be some sort of a kettle in there, I think about the beginning of A Christmas Story, the movie with the young boy Ralphie from Cleveland. There's actually a Salvation Army kettle and brass ensemble in there.
The band is playing away.
Yeah, it's tradition, that's what folks remember.
Now, as I remember with your history, your dad was in the band and a Salvation Army person before you?
My dad wasn't in the band,
okay.
But he was a Salvation Army officer just like I am. As a matter of fact, on my side of the family, we go back 5 generations of of people who've been members of the Salvation Army, and 3 generations of Salvation Army officers.
Would that happen more than I'd realize, or is that pretty rare? In my mind, I think it's rare.
It's about half and half. There are some that are first generation Salvationists, and you have some that go back quite a few years. And we're hoping. I shouldn't say this on air, but I will. My daughter has said that she's got to call the ministry, so we're hoping she's going to be Generation 6. So
and wouldn't that be nice?
It would be great.
Sure make mom and dad pretty proud.
Very much, very much.
So just a few days ago, last Saturday, you began the initial stages of the kettle campaign. It kicked off. You've got some going now, and kind of how does this do? Does this now build as we get closer to Christmas?
It's pretty much what's going to happen. We were able to start our first 5 locations on Saturday, so those would be the Walmarts in Lancaster and in Canal, as well as Hobby Lobby, and then beginning on Friday, Black Friday, we'll actually add in all of our Kroger locations, which will actually kind of get everybody up and ready to go, and we enjoy the craziness of the season, and we've got a lot of work to do this year.
You raise, I wouldn't know what the percentage was, 50% of your money at this time of the year?
It's somewhere between 10 and 15%, depending
10 and
15%. The kettle program is very big for us. Christmas is a busy season. It's when folks are really thinking about the Salvation Army. It's really when we're out there when you see us. Now, we're serving folks, we're doing things throughout the entire year, but we're just most visible at Christmas.
So, as we look back at 2020, and I'm not sure we want to do that because there's not much positive to look back on, but I know you folks have been affected greatly in terms of all the things you do with your food pantry and with your kids meeting and your wife running that program. It's really had an impact on you.
It's been a tough year. It really has. We had to switch and shift a lot of our programs and what we were doing and how we were doing them. One of the ones that's been the biggest impact to us is we had to close our Samaritan Center for Adult Day Services on March 15th, and we still don't have people back in the building. There are different regulations that we're still working with to get set with the state and everything, and with the current rise in coronavirus cases, I mean, it's been a challenge. But what it's caused us to do as an organization here locally is to really think outside the box and change some of the things that we're doing. So, carrying on with the Samaritan Center, even though we can't have folks in the building, we have staff members that are going out and visiting people in their homes. So instead of spending 8 hours in the center, they're spending 2 hours with them in their homes. And so you've got some folks who all they want to do is, talk and play rummy. Our daycare director said she's getting to be pretty good at rummy and a little competitive now. But it's those kind of things. Our food pantry never closed throughout all of COVID. We stayed very busy all the way through. I believe last year we had served about 42,000 meals out of our pantry. This year it's pushing 60,000. We know that we've distributed over 300,000 pounds of food out of our pantry through our pantry program and our produce program. So, I mean, they've never stopped. They've kept right on going. We know our Christmas program this year, it's going to be a little different how we do our distribution process. Just like we had, instead of our applications, instead of bringing everybody in 1 week and just having a bank of people, it's been one-on-one interviews with Captain Laura, and then some of them have been over the phone doing what needs to be done to get it done. We're still very active. It's just looking a little different
Can
this year.
people still get involved in that and get their name in the hopper? Do they come from 211 or do they have to contact you?
At this point right now, we're actually recommending that folks go to 211 to get plugged into one of the other organizations in town, as well as ours, because we're getting to the point where they're starting to check and make sure there's no duplications.
Sure.
And I'll tell you right now that our numbers are up this year.
I was going to ask.
As we would expect.
And I guess, again, I think that's what you would probably thought would happen. It's going to be more because of where we are with the pandemic.
Absolutely. I mean, we've had some families that have come in that, they may have had a job leading up to the pandemic. But in March, when everything shut down, they lost their jobs, and some of them haven't been called back yet. I mean, if we look at what's going on in the state of the country, I mean, our unemployment rate in October was still 6.9%, which meant that there were over 10 million people who still did not have employment that had it in March and April. I mean, it's a problem. It's an absolute challenge. But the good thing is that's where we're able to step in. And so we're using a theme around the Salvation Army this year. It's called Rescue Christmas. And that's what we're asking folks to help us do, is to help us rescue Christmas for those in our community who might otherwise not have one.
Are you Zoom meetinged out yet?
I'm pretty close to it. But I'll tell you, I'm actually getting to the point now that after a little while, I'm actually starting to get pretty good at these now, especially when I need to expand it or something. I'm getting pretty good at them. But
a year ago, we didn't even know what Zoom meetings were, or you might have seen a commercial and I thought, I have no value in that. And now there's no one I don't know that is involved in that. But I thought you brought up a great point there, and especially with nonprofits, but many businesses, many organizations around, they're finding out that they've been forced into change. They didn't want to change. They've been forced into change because of all this. But now maybe some of those changes are better for the future, even when this may not, and hopefully there is a time coming when it's not going to be around, but maybe some of the ways you've had to change things are a better way.
We found some that we really think, this could be something positive for us.
Yeah.
We're looking at, we're finding out that going out and visiting folks in their homes with the daycare is actually turning out to be a really good thing. So it may be a service that we add on to what we're already doing. It could be very interesting what we find in the future. It forces us to think outside the box.
So, you've got adult daycare there, you've got your food pantry, you've got the bell ringing going on, you've got the young people that you and your wife kind of met with those folks in the evenings down there. You've had to change all that, and everything has moved on. We hope we get to the end of this sometime, because I know there are needs. As much as you try, there are things that you just can't do that you want to do.
That is the absolute truth. And Paul, I'll be completely honest and vulnerable with everybody and tell you that as a person who feels that burden, it feels that that's their responsibility, that's their role in this community, it weighs on us personally, that sometimes you get a little depressed when you think, I can't go out and do everything that I want to do or everything that this community needs because of the challenges that it's put in front of us. But keep pressing on.
And one of the things when we talked several months ago, we talked about this, about your food pantry. Wasn't there a story about all the young people that came to help you with the food pantry that there was a need and people stepped up?
Absolutely. And that's what we've seen a lot happen through this, that people have really been supporting us financially. They've been supporting us by bringing the things in that we need, stepping up to volunteer in different ways, and we're very thankful and very grateful for it. Now, I'll tell you one, though, that is changing a little bit is our volunteers for the Red Kettles this year. We are way down this year in our volunteers, and we understand that. I mean, we know with COVID, that there's a lot of fear and a lot of concern that's going on with that. So, I mean, we completely understand that, but we're still hunting for those folks. We're still hunting for those who say, you know what, I'll give it a shot. And I can promise to all of the viewers today, and we've been saying this again and again, that when you go out and you see one of the Salvation Army Red Kettles this year, we are definitely taking some precautions for COVID. All of our kettle stands will have hand sanitizer available. Our workers are going to be trained to socially distance. They won't touch anything. The kettles will be wiped down. And as a matter of fact, you're going to actually find everybody wearing one of these.
Very nice, very nice.
So if you are out at one of the locations this year, you don't have to worry about that. We also will have contactless donations. If you want to give through Apple Pay or Google Pay, there'll be a spot right on the sign where you can just tap your phone right to it and give that way. You can always give online.
I was on your website looking up and do a little homework for this, and there's an opportunity that you can do that right online.
Absolutely. And one of the options that you have this year is it's not just for Christmas, but you can give a recurring gift if you choose to support us into 2021, because the need is going to continue to be there, if not increase. And so we're going to continue pressing forward. We're going to rescue not only Christmas this year for families, but we're going to rescue the new year. We're going to rescue 2021 for families and beyond.
The need is there.
It is, absolutely.
Not only to rescue Christmas, but we might have to rescue 2021. I mean, I think I was mentioning in the other segment that I can remember when the governor back in whenever it was, March or something, well, we've got this going on. Well, everybody kind of thought, man, it's not going to be good, but it flew, blah, blah, blah. Well, when the governor stopped the Arnold, I thought, this is huge, because that is the single biggest event in Columbus. And so then it kind of, wow, this is big. And then from that point, everything just fell. All the events fell throughout the summer. There's nothing going on. We've had all the Zoom meetings, all the changes you've had to make. And again, a challenging year for your staff. And I'm sure you've had to just get these folks, and I'm sure they've all stepped up and just done more than they would have done perhaps without this.
Absolutely. I mean, our staff has just been absolutely fantastic this year. We have some volunteers who, as soon as we said we're going to be switching our pantry format a little bit, they have been there every single day at the beginning, and they're still there all the time now. They've really just stepped up, and it's really become their ministry, and it's become a part of what they can do to serve the community. And we're just getting a lot of wonderful feedback of, just being able to be a part and make a difference in the community.
Would it be fair to say that the money you're raising here stays in Lancaster and Fairfield County?
It would be absolutely fair. 100% of what we raise stays in Lancaster and Fairfield County. So if you give something for your community, it stays in your community.
So again, you can look online. There's opportunities to give for the Salvation Army. You can look that up. Here at the Red Kettle Campaign, you see the bells, the kettle, you see them out there. opportunities to donate. Again, the money that you give here stays here, Lancaster, Fairfield County. Your folks are out there just beating the pavement and working it hard and in for a successful Christmas. You've got the big giveaways coming up here in this time of year. It's a busy time for the nonprofits, but the Salvation Army, along with some other great local, the Maywood Mission, we heard the Charity Newsies. These are local groups where the money stays here and it stays in Fairfield County. So thanks to you and your wife for what you're doing, for the great work that the Salvation does. They do good work. It's a pleasure to be involved with them. Bryan DeMichael, the captain of the Salvation Army. Appreciate Bryan being with us here today, and we appreciate you joining us on Fairfield Today.
Interface Video, in cooperation with Fairfield Federal, presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fair Hope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Frankie Smith Funeral Home, Fairfield County Adam H., Dagger Law, and the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities.